this time, like a month and 2 years ago, I read my first book, A Maze Runner. I just bought it like this, and then I really enjoyed it, so I decided to buy the entire series. And after that, like, I just read these 2 books, this series, from freshman year through my sophomore year. But it wasn't until November of 2025 that I actually started taking my reading serious. And I actually decided I wanted to do this. But last October, the 31st, I picked up it. That's when Welcome to Derry was coming out, and I already watched the movie. I was already a big fan of the franchise, so I decided, I'm like, hey, I really wanted to read the book. And I did. It took me a month. It started at the 31st. But December 9th is whenever I finished it. So yeah, I read that 5 weeks, and it was an amazing experience. And then for the rest of December, I read Red Pony. I actually finished The Fever Code that month. What was the another one? What's another one? Yeah, Shawshank. And then January, I read Christmas. I got this. I got The Lord of the Rings. I got the 3 books, and then The Hobbit. I only read the first one so far. It took me like 10 days to read. Amazing book. I bled into January with that, and then I read 11/22/63, my favorite book of all time, and then Red Rising after that, another phenomenal book. And after that, I read Game of Thrones, and I'm so excited to read the rest of A Song of Ice and Fire this summer. I mean, this book was phenomenal. And then what after that? Project Hail Mary, Steve Running Man. I already read this. I read this in between the Maze Runner series. It's just, this last month I fell into a little reading slump. With this book, I know it used to be, and I heard great things about it. I'm only on page 180 through 2. It's a very good book of what I read. And I'm finally able to pick it up again. I'm finally getting back into that rotation of reading. And I'm so happy I am. I have fallen in love with reading so much this last year. And I just want to read more. I want to get more free time. I just read so much more. I love it so much. And not just novels now. Like, I still got I read comic books every now and then. I'm getting back into that too. But it has been such a fun journey for me. And I've learned so much. Throughout this last year, I have become such an understanding person because I've read so many stories with so many characters. And I just understand so much now. It is growing my mind so much, and I am so grateful for it. I just did a quick little swap. These are the books that I didn't get a chance to read yet. I'm most excited for the A Song of Ice and Fire series. First book, amazing. I heard it just gets better. But George Martin does have to finish those last 2 books. He's probably never going to. I also do want to read more of the series, like A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I watched that show, amazing. But I do want to branch out with the series. Same with Lord of the Rings. It's such a amazing, like, I want to read a lot more fantasy. And these are like such great series, and there's so much more to tell within the series. Like, you have the World of Ice and Fire, and then there's so many more Lord of the Rings book, and I'll get to them eventually, but those won't be till later. And then you have these couple bottom books that I will get to eventually too. Should probably move this at the front of the TBR, but we ballin'. But books are genuinely in my opinion, one of the best pieces invented, because you have an entire story within this, an introduction, a conclusion, the rising and action. You have everything. You have a whole story in this, a whole portable story. You can bring this anywhere. When you have you can't watch TV, you can't watch movies, but you can read. And school kind of makes reading horrible, because whenever I was a kid, I used to despise it. I'm never reading. Now I love it, and I cannot wait. I don't read a lot a day, but like I said, I'm still getting back into it. But it has just been so fun, and I am so grateful I got to read and grow my bookshelf as much as I did, and I cannot wait for other books to add to it. I want to add the kind of Monte Cristo, Frankenstein, a lot of classics too. But you get to bring these stories, and you don't get to just get to enjoy the stories. When you read, you get to grow your mind. You get to look at the possible themes, like the amount of work this does for your mind, the amount of good this does for your brain is amazing. There is just so much good stuff coming from a book, and I encourage every one of it. I think anybody should get a book to read. Doesn't necessarily have to be one of these or any, but it could be like something if you like be outside, maybe you could read stuff about outside. I think anybody should have a chance to read and experience what a reader experience. It is one of the best things ever. I cannot talk about books enough. I really don't know what to say about books. I love them so much. I just love the smell of them. I love the editions. I love the classics. I like the sci-fi. I love the fantasy. And I just love being surrounded by them. I love going to Barnes & Noble, listening to music, and just browsing of new books I get to read. And it is when I've had those experiences, they were some of the best experiences I had. And it is so good for my mental health too. Not just my brain, but just it calms me. Whenever I'm stressed, I get a chance to sit down and read. I notice is the way that I talk to people. It's not like I'm mean, but you can obviously tell I'm not in the mood for conversations. But just after I read a book, or just not or a chapter, I'm so down to earth. I'm just back and just ready for my day. So I encourage everybody to read. I want to be an author one day. I want to write books, because there's just, even though people hate books, there is just so much good for it. I encourage anybody to read, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like a physical book. Go Kindle, anything. Go to a library. You don't have to buy the books either. I think somebody should seriously, you don't even have to keep reading as a hobby. I just believe that somebody should just have one book for themselves, and that one book can just push that one person forward. And if you don't read a lot and you finally get a chance to read, you can see how amazing reading is for you and how fun it is. It's not boring, it really isn't. It is one of my favorite hobbies and one of my favorite things to do. My second favorite form of media, first being TV shows, number two being books. I can just not stop talking about how good and how good books are and how much fun I have just being present with the books. I love my bookshelf. I love the stories, and I'm grateful I get to have these. So if you're wondering what should you, or if you're wondering should you read, I think you should. I think you should look back at your life and just look at the struggles or maybe your hobbies outside, and just help study it a little bit and just pick a book for yourself, and it will be one of the most amazing experiences you can have.